I was clipping my rose bushes, the morning sun warming my back in Pine Hollow, Oregon, when Linda Voss, the HOA president with a clipboard and a vendetta, stormed across my lawn, screeching that my new cedar fence was 2 inches over the line and threatening a lawsuit like I'd built a fortress instead of a garden border. Her posse, armed with tape measures and smug grins, acted like they'd caught me red-handed. But as I stood there, shears in hand, I felt a spark of defiance ignite, because I knew something Linda didn't. Her precious community pool, the HOA's pride and joy, was sitting smack on my property, and I had the maps to prove it. This wasn't just about a fence. It was about a bully who'd pushed too far, and I was ready to push back with a truth that'd sink her empire. My name's Jack Ramsey, 47, a city planner who spends my days untangling property disputes and my nights tending my half-acre lot. A quiet slice of earth where I grow vegetables, sip coffee, and try to keep life simple after years of corporate grind. This house in Pine Hollow is my refuge. Bought 5 years ago when I needed a fresh start after losing my dad, who taught me to stand firm but fair. That fence, it went up to keep stray dogs off my tomatoes, not to start a war. But Linda, with her iron blouses and her chokehold on the HOA, saw it as a personal insult, a challenge to her reign. Her lawsuit threat wasn't just about inches, it was about control. And I wasn't about to let her steamroll me like she had so many others. The trouble started a week earlier, when I'd finally tackled the fence project I'd put off for years. I'd had enough of neighbors' pets trampling my garden, so I hired a contractor, pulled permits, and double-checked the property line with a surveyor. The cedar posts went up clean, legal, and square. Next morning, a neon yellow violation notice was taped to my mailbox, screaming unauthorized structure and demanding I tear it down in 10 days or face fines. I thought it was a mix-up. Maybe they meant the guy down the street with the junkyard vibe. But no, it was me, and Linda's handwritten note at the bottom read, "Comply or face legal action." I tried reasoning, invited her and her cronies, Ted, the treasurer who nodded like a bobblehead, and Ellen, who clutched the HOA handbook like a lifeline, to see my survey. Linda scoffed. "Your map's fake. Our records are final." I showed her the city-stamped plat. She waved it off. "Coral sort this out," she snapped, and stormed off, leaving me staring at my fence. My pulse pounding, knowing this was no mistake. It was a power play. I could have caved, most folks would, faced with a lawsuit and an HOA with deep pockets. But I'm wired differently. My job's taught me where cities hide their secrets, and I wasn't about to let Linda's bluster bury the truth. That night, I drove to the county records office. A dusty basement where old plats gather cobwebs. 2 hours and a sneezing fit later, I found it. A faded envelope labeled Pine Hollow Subdivision, Original Plan, 1978. My hand shook as I opened it. The boundary line didn't match the HOA's map. It stretched 12 feet further, slicing through their community pool, its deck, even the tiki bar they'd bragged about last summer. I cross-checked with my GIS software, heart racing. No mistake, that land was mine, and Linda's crown jewel was a squatter. I kept it quiet, hiring a private surveyor to confirm the line with GPS, marking it with biodegradable paint, dots only I'd notice. Linda's patrol cruised by, eyeing us, and she cornered me once. "What's this about?" she demanded, arms crossed. "Just updating my garden plan," I said, smiling. She didn't buy it, but she couldn't stop me. I let her lawsuit roll forward, let her gloat to neighbors about teaching me a lesson. Let Ted post smug bulletins about my violation. All the while, I built my case, knowing the real fight was coming. 3 days before the HOA hearing, I sent a certified letter, my survey. The 1978 plat, aerial photos showing the pool's trespass, and a demand to cease using my land or face a countersuit. I pictured Linda's face when she opened it, her smugness crumbling. And I wasn't wrong. At the hearing, my buddy Nate, who snuck in, said Linda went pale, flipping through my documents like they were cursed. "These are forged," she shouted, but her voice cracked. Ellen whispered, "Is the pool really on his land?" The room froze, the board's confidence evaporating. Linda called for a private meeting, and next day, she showed up at my door, all fake smiles. "Jack," she cooed, "let's settle this like neighbors." I leaned in, voice low. "Sure. Linda, meet me by the pool. I'll bring a ruler." That afternoon, my surveyor and I met her and her lawyer, who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. I pointed to the paint dots cutting through the pool's shallow end. That's my land, I said. Linda's lawyer made a call, not to fight, but to his insurer. Her empire was sinking, and she knew it. The fallout was glorious. I filed a countersuit, trespass, damages, harassment, and asked the city to review the pool's permits. Within days, a zoning officer confirmed the HOA's permits were based on a fake map, never updated after a 1990s redraw. The pool was illegal, built without clearance. Yellow tape went up. The pool was drained, and a closed pending investigation sign slapped on the gate. Neighbors lost it. Kids cried. Parents cursed. Teens snapped selfies with the tape. Linda sent a frantic email, blaming me for ruining our community. But someone leaked my court filings to the group chat. Screenshots of the plat spread, and suddenly, folks weren't mad at me. They were mad at her. The neighborhood turned on Linda like a storm. At a packed HOA meeting, Mrs. Clara Hayes, a firecracker who'd hosted her grandkids' party at the pool, cornered her. "You let us swim on his land? You lied to us," she yelled. Linda stammered, blaming developers, the city, even my fence guy, but no one bought it. The truth was out. The pool was a 23-year trespass. And Linda had buried warnings to save face. Ted tried defending her, but leaked emails showed he'd greenlit her $3,000 patio upgrade, a hot tub for her backyard. He was voted out. Ellen quit, claiming she was misled. Linda clung to her title, but the board stripped her presidency, citing misconduct. In court, it was a slaughter. I presented the 1978 plat, my surveys, and the city's zoning report. Ted, sweating, admitted under oath to ignoring a 2018 boundary alert. Clara produced a 4-year-old email where Linda called my concerns whining from a guy with a tape measure. The judge, a no-nonsense type, didn't flinch. "This is a masterclass in arrogance," he said, ruling the HOA trespass for decades. He ordered the pool closed, removed, or leased at market rates, with backdated compensation to me for 23 years. I got legal fees, damages, and a penalty for harassment. Linda was personally fined 5 figures for burying evidence. She opened her mouth to argue, but the judge's glare shut her down. She bolted from the courtroom, her husband trailing like a beaten dog. After the verdict, Linda lashed out, slapping me with petty violation notices. My mailbox was too shiny, my porch light unapproved. I ignored them. But when she tried yanking my boundary markers at 2 a.m., my motion cameras caught her. I sent the footage to the police, and she got a trespassing charge, her mugshot a neighborhood meme. Linda's last line. Her allies vanished, her husband left, and her house hit the market, overpriced, barely toured. She moved to her sister's, a ghost of her former self. The pool's gone now. Filled in with grass and saplings, a quiet end to a loud lie. I turned my reclaimed land into a garden, raised beds, a stone path, a koi pond where the tiki bar once stood. I added a plaque. "Truth draws the line, 2025. Neighbors love it. Kids peer at the fish, and I put a bench outside my fence for anyone needing a rest." Respect flows both ways now. The HOA's new board, led by Clara, rewrote the rules. No more secret maps, mandatory surveys, open budgets. They dropped all fines against me and others, and Pine Hollow feels alive, neighbors chatting over coffee, planning potlucks instead of dodging violations. I hosted a barbecue last month, not to gloat, but to rebuild. Folks who'd snubbed me showed up, one admitting, "We thought you were stirring trouble. You saved us." We laughed, ate ribs, and watched the sunset over my garden, the old pool site now a symbol of starting over. I don't run the HOA. I consult, helping Clara keep things fair. I'm no hero, just a guy who dug deeper than Linda's lies, who stood firm because Dad taught me truth doesn't bend to bullies. But last week, a friend in a nearby town sent me a flyer, an HOA claiming shared land rights, signed by a name I don't know, but the playbook feels familiar. Linda's gone, but her kind aren't. I'm not chasing ghosts, but I've got my maps, my cameras, and a neighborhood that's got my back. So where are you watching from? Ever had a Linda try to redraw your life with a clipboard and a smirk? Drop your story below. Let's talk about standing tall, digging for truth, and whether a fence can change everything. Because I'm still here, and I know you are too.